I want to welcome all our guests, affiliates, and branch community and Four-Star Alliance members, as well as other veteran supporting organizations and guests. I'm very happy to be here today to present to you our July 2020 Battle Rhythm, Strengthening Warriors' Resilience with Outdoor Rehabilitation and Recreation. Today's session is being moderated by Jessy Lakin. Jessy is the lead for Alaska Warrior Partnership. Alaska Warrior Partnership is a veteran-focused, community-led initiative to proactively connect with all veterans and ensure access to quality resources and opportunity are available to them in collaboration with the community. As you know, Alaska is a very big state and boasts the highest veteran population per capita, with more than 65,000 veterans calling Alaska home. So even though there's a plethora of support and in Alaska, and also many veterans there, they are often unsure of how their benefits, where they are, and how to get them and how to use them. Likewise, veteran organizations and other community offerings do not have the capacity to find it difficult to connect with veterans in this vast area of Alaska. So Alaska Warrior Partnership, along with the lead, Jessy, is doing an amazing job of bringing them together. To find out more about Alaska Warrior Partnership, please visit alaskawarriorpartnership.org. And that's it for me. Jessy, the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank everyone for attending, and we're going to jump right into it. I want to introduce our panelists, and they have some bios, and we'll just hand it over to our panelists. Let's start with Bryon.
Jessy, thanks. My name is Bryon Gustafson. I'm with Montana Vet Program. Our mission is to provide veteran-led therapeutic adventure trips to our country's struggling veterans in order to promote healing through camaraderie, physical activity, adventure, and tough-minded healing. That is provided for by currently two float trips down the Smith River State Park, which is the only permitted river in Montana. And then hiking trips into the Bob Marshall Wilderness, where on the next slide it'll show you we have float trips, and then with our hike trips we do 7 to 10 miles a day with 40-pound pack. So anyway, we're called the Montana Vet Program, but we don't just take Montana veterans, we take veterans from all over the United States. One of our features that we really like to show to everyone is our pig egg. We have at this point it's 7,054 dog tags from the men and women that have been lost in Iraq and Afghanistan that we float with us or hike with us. When we're doing hike trips, the dog tags get split into everyone's packs as we're walking, and it's just a walking memorial with us as we are out in adventuring into the wilderness of Montana. And so yeah, I'm happy to be here and look forward to the rest of the discussion.
All right. Who's next, Allison? Who's next on your screen?
After Bryon is actually Justin. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to his slides.
Great, thank you. Yeah, my name is Justin Rujawitz. I'm one of our senior program managers for an organization called HigherGround. And our mission at HigherGround is to enhance quality of life through therapeutic recreation and education. So one of our main programs is our veteran and first responder programs. You'll see here there's kind of two different programs that are listed: the community resiliency units, and then also our week-long programs. Our week-long programs are sort of our bread and butter programs. We're running about 30 week-long programs across the country each year. And then our community resiliency units sort of comes out of those week-long programs. Participants that we serve that are kind of motivated to continue to do the work that we start during our week-long events can actually start to host their own events within their home communities afterwards. So right now we've got about 50 of these community resilience units across the country. So they're continuing to lead day programs throughout the country as well. Just a little bit about background about us. We've been around. This is our 25th anniversary this year. So we've been doing this for quite a long time. We host any sort of outdoor recreation event that you can imagine. So in the wintertime, it's a lot of skiing and snowboarding. out in Sun Valley. You can see a picture here is from one of our mountaineering trips. I do a lot of ice climbing in the winter as well. In the summer times, we do everything from whitewater kayaking and rafting to fly fishing, and rock climbing, all sorts of other things. We even get into some of the more niche activities. We've done some ballroom dancing programs before. We're hosting our first photography program this year. So we're really just aimed at connecting with any and every veteran that comes our way, and hopefully we can provide an experience that resonates with them. And yeah, just look forward to sharing a little bit more about our organization and participating in this discussion.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Danny.
Hey guys, Danny Farrar, CEO, founder of SoldierFit and the Herd, founder and former executive director of the nonprofit Continue 22. We focus on, we partnered up with a nonprofit called Valor Missions. And what we're looking to do now is we're helping launch the program called Mission Refit. The goal here is to help veterans get back in shape, be able to wear the uniform that they wore once proudly. And really, fitness is the foundation. We do this through an assigned coach app delivery where the workout program, nutrition, and meal plan is put in there, as well as a private support community where you have support from all of the coaches within my company, as well as all of the people that are active in there. We teach a 4x4 framework in order to help people get traction. And that 4x4 framework is focused on getting up 1 hour, the Power 4, getting up 1 hour earlier, daily improvement training, proclamation, journaling, and then the 4 F-bombs, which are your fitness, your function, your family, and your finances. And we coach on all 4 of those things. The reason we got into this, I was adopted when I was 2 years old. I was molested by my brother and sister. And for me, that manifested itself into eating my face off, ballooning up to 300 pounds, and graduating 146 out of 147 from high school. Spent most of my life thinking that I was stupid well into my 30s. So I didn't have many options coming out of high school. I went into the Army. My mother died while I was in basic training. My brother killed himself 6 months later. I spent 8 years, took the first team to the Pentagon on 9/11, secured the Pentagon, and then did remains removal, and then a combat tour in Iraq from 05 to 06. Came back and transitioned very poorly. Got fired from the first job I ever got outside the Army, which ironically was selling gym memberships. I now own 10 gyms. Went through first of 2 divorces, bottomed out and attempted suicide, and spent 3 days locked up in the psych ward. And it was from there that we got the mantra from the buffalo going to the storm. That's where the herd comes from. And our goal is real simple. It's to pay it forward and to help instill pride back into veterans that may feel like they're a little bit lost. Appreciate you guys having us here.
All right. Thank you, Danny. Again, my name is Jessy Lakin. I'm the lead for Alaska Warrior Partnership. Been doing this for about 10 years. I've been post-service state chapter president for the National Wild Turkey Federation, pro staff for an outdoor rehabilitation program up here in Alaska called Alaska's Healing Hearts, advisory member for the Alaska chapter of the Fallen Outdoors, one of the co-founders of Battle Dogs, a veteran organization here in the state, and then recently, the last 2 years, a program lead for Alaska Warrior Partnership. I'm a single father of 2 young children, my daughter Jesslyn and my son Wyatt. My passions are hunting, fishing, archery, snowboarding, golfing, rock climbing, really just getting out in the outdoors. I live in Alaska because Alaska is amazing. Just the most beautiful place in the world. Very into taking veterans in the outdoors and introducing them to outdoor rehabilitation because it's worked for me. I'm a combat veteran. Experienced suicide, attempted suicide, experienced depression, and the outdoors really brings me back into it. Often we lose our motivation to get outdoors when you're overwhelmed with all the other things that PTSD and TBIs bring to the table. And so getting outdoors kind of helps you put you back in your element, especially if you were an outdoors person prior to service. And you've lost that mentality. It's really good to get outside, get away from nature, or get away from the cell phones and get back to nature. Outdoor rehabilitation to me isn't just getting in the trees. It's finding something not in the 4 walls, right? If it's golfing, if it's fishing, if it's snow machining, it doesn't matter as long as you're outdoors. As long as you're doing something, even working out to me is outdoor rehabilitation. And during this process, we're going to ask the board members or the panelists a couple questions, but feel free to chime in any questions you may have. You could pop off mute. You can raise your hands. We want this to be interactive. First question I have for the board, or for the three guys, is why outdoor rehabilitation? Why does that make sense for your platform? Where did your organization, first decide outdoor rehabilitation is the key to success? Bryon, let's start with you.
We feel that there's an energy that you gain outside that you don't gain inside, when you can really just connect. And just like you said, it doesn't have to be trees and mountains and sunsets. We've noticed that it can be rain, hail, wind, cold, it can be just about anywhere. Our motto is actually suffer well, just enduring some pain and getting through it. Oftentimes those are if you've ever heard the phrase type 2 happiness, and memories, where, a roller coaster is type 1, but you don't really tell anybody about it. But the suffering that you go through can tend to be some of the funnest memories that you have. And so we've noticed that just a campfire and some food, and being outside away from the distractions, definitely helps break down walls, break down barriers. And we've also noticed, which I'm sure the rest of the panel has as well, that just being around like-minded people, many of us haven't been in this environment for a decade, maybe 2 decades, maybe 3 decades, and you start to hear some of the old jokes and the old phrases that really bring back some great memories. And I don't think a lot of that stuff happens inside, air conditioning, heating, 4 walls, roof. A lot of it happens outside. And so that's kind of where we started about 8 years ago, was just how do we get people outside and moving around.
Okay. Justin?
Yeah, it's a lot of what Bryon mentioned there. I will also add that it sort of has acted as almost like this dangling carrot for us, that we can provide these really cool outdoor opportunities that may come around once in a lifetime. We're getting ready to get into our river trip seasons, and some of these trips are truly once in a lifetime sort of experiences. And it is sort of that carrot to get people to step outside of their comfort zone, to get into sort of this different therapeutic setting where we're able to access some of these individuals who might not be walking into the VA, or they might not be so keen on going and sitting down with a therapist. This might be the catalyst for them to start getting some additional resources, and like Bryon said, to get around some like-minded individuals, or start having a reinvigorated sense of that community, that tribe, that herd, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's a really big part of it. The other piece of it too is sort of this skill progression that's important to us. We're going to teach people an activity that hopefully they can take back home with them, and that in some way improves their quality of life. So that's a really important piece of our program. And then also just the sense of self-efficacy. So putting people in an uncomfortable situation or a new environment that they might not be as familiar with, set them up in a challenge, in a controlled environment in some sense, and hopefully get them some successes. And that little step might be the next thing that says, hey, I'm actually capable of doing more than I thought that I was capable of. Maybe I can go back home and I can try something else out. I can try something new. I can continue to improve my quality of life in one way or another. So those are just some of the added benefits of doing these sorts of programs in the great outdoors, and doing some really fun activities together.
Okay. Danny, what do you got?
So I think Justin and Bryon hit it on the head. People as humans, we love mastery. We love to get better at shit, and the reality is that can be getting better at your golf swing. That can get better at hunting. That can get better at working out. And when people run into trouble, it's when they don't have any purpose in their life anymore. When they just sitting there, I always tell people it's 100% okay to be upset. It's 100% okay to have bouts of sadness or depression. PTS is an absolute real thing. With that said, you sitting locked up in your dark room listening to slow country songs ain't fixing shit. And so what we've seen is, and they've even talked about this, that physical activity, exercise, is 1.5 times more successful than therapy by itself. And so again, I'm not knocking therapy. I'm an advocate for it if you go to that, but getting out, getting active. And at the end of the day, if you start to change the way that your body looks and you're proud of what you see in the mirror, there's no way that doesn't correlate to other aspects of your life where you can say, hey, that's why I said fitness is the greatest force multiplier. When I control what I put in my mouth, when I control what I do with my body and I build that discipline around that, that is going to spiral out into the other areas of your life. It's going to give you confidence. And so I think a lot of people, when they leave the military, they lose that confidence. They had a purpose, they had a clear mission. And so how do we get confidence back? There's only two things: doing what you say you're going to do and stacking wins. That's the only way to build confidence. And so if you start with fitness, saying, hey, I'm going to get out of bed in the morning, I'm going to go do this workout, and you do it, that's a win. And then when you start to see those things, that success come out of that, and the body transformation, you get stronger, you feel healthier, have more energy, now the confidence is there. So I'm a huge advocate for it.
Awesome. So in that conversation, I heard a lot of shared misery and camaraderie in there. So let's chime in on that a little bit. So we got veterans outdoors, and we're talking the shared misery, trauma bond with our, experience bond, and then camaraderie. How do those pieces of the pie affect your programs or enhance your programs? Justin, you want to go first?
Am I still off? I'll go.
Yep.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that gets people in trouble is the lie that they're alone. The lie that they're the only one that feels this way. I felt like this, especially after getting fired. I had went from, being a staff sergeant, leading troops in combat. And to me, that's like the pinnacle, right? It doesn't get any higher than that. And then there I was going door to door trying to book window and siding appointments. I felt like the laughing joke of where I lived at. And I had zero confidence. I thought I had completely bombed out, not realizing, the night that I attempted suicide, I went to a bar and I thought everybody was happy. I thought everybody figured it out. And I thought I was this loser, couldn't get anything done. That's before I understood that people wear masks, and social media only makes this worse. Nobody's posting their art. Well, at least we hope they're not actually. They're not posting their argument with their wife on social media. They're not posting that they're struggling to make rent or that they're not covering payroll. And so everybody thinks everybody else has it figured out, and they just tear down what they have. Whereas if they get around with other people, like, damn, you're going through that too, that gives them the strength to be able to move on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything that Danny said there. And we have a theme of the day for each of our days while they're in program with us. And the first one is building bonds, and that truly is, I think, sets the tone for the week. And my background, I'm actually a clinical therapist as well. So to sort of take a step back and look at this from what we want to see as outcomes is we want to have some sort of internal look at self, have some organization around what in the world is going on with me, and then be able to cast that out so that somebody can respond to it. When somebody's responding there and that bond is built, when somebody understands what you're going through, that to me is where the heart of healing starts to take place. So that's really, really important for us to happen on these programs. So we're going to do a bunch of different activities to get people, again, outside of their comfort zone, have some of this, you can call it the trauma bonding or the shared experience, the hard going through something hard together. And that really does start to create these connections. And so that starts to initiate this feeling of, man, somebody actually gets what I'm going through. I'm not the only one who's struggling right now. And beyond that, I've now got a group of guys or gals that when I go back home and I start to, suffer the realities of my day-to-day consequences, I've got somebody there that I know that I can reach out to, that I feel comfortable with, that I've had the shared experience with. So it's sort of just this cycle that feeds itself. That's really important for us, so that, people are walking away with resources and hopefully feeling connected, because that really can be the start of some real change, some real healing and growth.
Not real sure how to add on to either one of those. Those were great, guys. But I guess I could just kind of take another step off something that you guys already said. But in basic training, a lot of veterans are it's ingrained in us to what we're getting ready to do is the most glorious mission, the most honorable thing that we could possibly do. And I don't know if it really matters what MOS you're in. That's what, fighting for your country, serving your country is the most honorable thing. And then, you get out and how do you go flip burgers or put on siding or, go plumbing, and so when we have this suffering outdoors, again, it may be trauma bonding, it may be just, whatever it happens to be, we realize that there can be other missions and we see other veterans going through similar things, just like Justin said. And then that's when the conversations do start up about what to do next. And part of it's not a main part of our mission or anything, but every time we're out in the outdoors, we're doing conservation work. And so we're partnered with the Smith River, Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, and the U.S. Forest Service to clean up campsites. And we're hoping that by teaching how to, split some logs and make a few fence posts and things like that, offer another mission for future generations. Also, it's not a ton of fun work, but there's something about just not everything being fun and easy, that there's some difficulty level to it that really helps bring healing.
Okay. Yeah. We all kind of talked a little bit about, campfire therapy, or talking around the campfire, hearing each other's stories and growing from there. I like to say that coming to Alaska is the hook, gets them up here, and to solve the problem, to really dive deep into it, is sitting around the campfire with your brothers and sisters. So I'm really happy you guys talked about it. But also what I've noticed over the years is I get a lot of veterans saying, hey, I don't want to take a seat from somebody else. Somebody else deserves it more than I do. So let's talk a little bit on one, eligibility requirements for your program. And then two, how do you get a veteran to sign up that needs the program? Often that's the hardest part.
Gonna take a stab at going first this time. So there's a couple of different things that I think play into this. Jesse, I know we met previously and sort of had this conversation, but there is a sense, and we've used this as an organization too, of like, I need you to come as a role model, that you can offer support in some way, because there is this sense of selfless service that is so, deeply ingrained in many of our veterans. So that idea of, I'm just taking a spot for somebody else, somebody's more deserving, somebody could use this more than I can. Or maybe there's that sense of guilt or shame that, like, I struggle waking up in the morning and I don't even know if I should be walking on this earth. Why should I have this all expenses paid for vacation? So I think there's a lot of stuff that plays into that mentality or that ideology. So, one of the approaches is, hey, like, let's get you on here. I think you have a lot to offer. It'd be really great to have you come and support these programs so that, you can be in that mentorship role, that space to help somebody else out. And the other one is I think there needs to be some honest conversation. We do quite a bit of pre-program work with our folks. We're going through phone calls, we go through screenings, and we do have some of these conversations. And I think part of that is just trying to get them to take a step back and set the tone for what is going to happen on these programs. They're not just this fun experience where we're going to be outside together. There is going to be some work involved in this program. So we want them to come in a mindset that they're ready to receive that. So, it is one of those barriers that we have to get through when walls are up. And there is this sense of like, maybe I don't need help. I don't need to go, and I don't need to do any of this kumbaya stuff. I don't want to sit around a campfire and hold hands and sing songs together. And that's fine. That's what I think is really great about doing, these different programs where we are going to go fishing, we are going to go rafting, we're going to do these really fun things. But I also need to have your buy-in, that you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be able to talk about some different challenging things, and there is some inherent benefit to that. So it's certainly a process, but I think, at its core, just meeting people where they are and trying to be supportive and being open to whatever their experience might be. We're not going to force them to share. We're not going to force them to do anything, but we do want you to come in with a sense of openness.
Yeah, I think keys are setting the expectations up front and telling them you're only going to get as much as you put into this event, no matter what it is. And I think that's a rule in life, right? You're only going to get what you put into it. Bryon, what do you got?
Our only qualification for joining us on a trip is just a DD 214. We've had a lot of discussions about combat veterans or honorable or dishonorable discharge, and we've noticed that some dishonorable discharge may be also due to poor mental health, and they could also use some help if needed. And so the only requirement is just a DD 214 to join us on a trip. And then how do we get veterans on trips is the last year or so, we've really upped our amount of social media content, where it kind of ties into what Justin's saying, where we are very open about what is going to happen on a trip. And so we provide yoga, breathing, meditation, cold water therapy. There's a lot of things that we do to give veterans tools when they come back that they can use. We don't want any of that stuff to be a surprise, though. You don't want to think that you're going on this cool hike trip and your sleeping mat doubles as a yoga mat, but you don't want to find that when you're 10 miles back in the Bob Marshall Wilderness. And so we try to remove as many surprises as possible. We also have a very military looking op order that we give everyone that's familiar, refreshing, and then way too much information. Just no matter what could be out there. Not to say that we dispose all of our secrets. We do have a few things, but they're not going to be shocking when they do come up. And then Justin, you also mentioned mentoring. When we have a veteran that has submitted an application, through our website, but they seem a little hesitant, we mentioned that it's important that other veterans need mentors. They need people to come along and be the strong person with them to help them through the trip. And a lot of times that helps, letting someone know that. And that's how our program works. It's veterans mentoring veterans. We're all just out there doing the best we can. We don't have counselors or therapists with us. We let the outdoors and each other work through whatever we may be working through. And so I think just and we may have even talked about that on a planning call before this, right? That just some people need to know you're not taking a space. That space is for you, because we need you on the trip to help mentor. And then we often find that those mentors that come on the trip end up getting a lot of mentored while they're out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Often I would lie to them, straight up lie to them, be like, "Yep, you're going to be my mentor for the day." And then halfway through the camp, they come up to me saying, "Oh, I got way more out of it than just mentoring somebody else. It's changing my life 100 times more. Thank you so much." And Danny, what do you have? How does your program combat these two problems?
Well, one thing I would say is, even though we're not talking about it, I'll start with VA benefits, because I think there's a lot of people that don't want to go and apply for the VA benefits. The reality is, TAPS has said that deaths from burn pits looked to eclipse veteran suicide by 2025 is one of the #1 killers of veterans. If you get the type of cancers that come out of that, you ain't going to have time to apply for benefits. You're going to be dead and gone. And so my first thing is, take care of your family by going in there. And what I explain to people is, it's not a benefit. I actually hate that name. I think that's why more men and women don't apply for it. What it really is workers' comp. That's all it is. It's veterans workers' comp. If you go out, I pay it as a small business owner. If you go out and got hurt on my job, guess who's paying for it? I'm paying into it. So it's workers' comp. The second thing is, with the VA benefits, that money's there. It's going to be there whether you take care of it and take care of your family or not. So you're not taking from anyone else. I lead all with this because that mindset limits people to apply for these awesome programs that are out there at resources. And I've been operating in the nonprofit space for, over a decade. And every veteran nonprofit I talk to, if I ask them, what is your single biggest struggle? Getting veterans, because nobody will go do it. So the reality of it is you have all of these awesome organizations whose hearts are in the right place. They want to help veterans. but then we struggle to get veterans to come out to it. But on the flip side, the veteran will sit there and go, nobody gives a shit. You're full of it. There are so many organizations that care, that want to help, but it's honestly ego is what it is. This is what I try to explain, guys. You're being selfish by not stepping up and saying, hey, listen, sometimes I need a hand. There was a point in time I needed a hand. There'll be a point in time in the future where I need a hand. If I get that help, then I can still be here and fight to help the next person down the road. When I talk to people about my suicide attempt, and they ask me, well, what's the biggest thing that concerns you about it? It's not that I wouldn't be here. It's that my 2 little daughters wouldn't be here. And I've seen the way they light up a room when they walk in, right? And this is my point to people. You don't know, it's impossible for you to know the hole your absence would leave. And so why don't we make sure we never get that opportunity for the hole? Step up, help, get the help you need, and then do the right thing. Pass that help on down the road.
Absolutely. Okay, so now that we have veterans understanding they could apply, they're not taking away from somebody else. Let's talk about who can attend. You've chimed in a little bit on who the qualifications are, but do you separate men and women during these camps or training sessions? And then how long are your events? How long is it going to be for the veteran to attend?
I can jump in here. Ours are 4 days and 3 nights. We do have a gear issue the night before, so I guess it would be 5 days you kind of need off from work, especially if you're traveling out of outside of Montana to get here. When we're camping, our female participants sleep in a separate tent than male participants, and we keep a separation there. But other than that, there's not much of a separation. We make sure that everyone's aware that things are on the up and up, and it's 4 days. We can make it without, well, as youth pastors would call it, make purple, mix some pink and blue. And so we just have those conversations while we're out there. What we've noticed is we didn't have a lot of female participants in the very beginning, and it was because we didn't have a lot of pictures of females. And so a lot of veteran, or not just anything veteran, most people picture male in their mind. But recently we've had several females, and it's only been a help to our trips to have a different perspective and another voice out there. And many of them feel that being connected with other veterans in the wilderness is a community that they didn't even really feel while they were in the military. And so I think it's pretty important that we include females at our program, at least, just to make sure that they can feel the same camaraderie that men felt in the military and feel on the trips as well. And so I think that was answering both your questions there.
Yep.
So for our programs, and Jesse, I may have neglected to say this beforehand. So similar to what Bryon said, we do require a DD 214. Obviously we prefer that there is an honorable discharge. If there's anything that is, other than honorable, it's a one-on-one conversation. It's not a hard no. We're going to go by a case by case basis to get them the support that they need. Other than that, we just want them to need some sort of support with a mental health challenge. So typically that looks like, you have some sort of symptoms related to PTSD, traumatic brain injury, military sexual trauma. But we're starting to really broaden that category for those that might not identify with any of those sort of diagnoses. We don't require paperwork or, disability ratings from the VA, anything like that. So that's sort of the baseline. Outside of that, our programs are broken down into some different demographics. One of the unique things about our program is that we do a lot of couples programs. So we will serve the veteran and their significant other. So we have quite a few of those that happen each year. From there, then we go into like our singles programming that might, you may still be married, but for whatever reason, your spouse can't get the time off work or whatever the reason may be. But we'll run a handful of programs that are, not attended by a significant other or spouse, whatever that might be. Those are generally mixed gender. So we'll have male and female both together on those trips, with the exception of one program that we do each year that focuses more specifically on military sexual trauma for female veterans. So that one is an exclusively female event. Let's see, there was one other question that I'm not answering. What was the other question? What was the two-part of that?
How long are you?
How long are your trips?
Oh, how long? There it is. So our week-long programs, they're considered a 6-day. So we have a travel day on each end, and then 4 true programming days. So you're looking about 6 days off of work if you're not local to wherever the program may be happening. That's for what we call our week-long events. Like I talked about at the beginning, we have started, incorporating these the crew community resiliency unit programs, which those are all just a day long. So the week long is technically 6 days, but then we also do offer some day programming through those crew units.
Okay.
For us, everything's remote. If you are local, you also get to use one of our gyms, but if not, the coaching and all of the program delivery is done through an app, and then live coaching calls that we have throughout the week. So we have 4 live coaching calls each week. So honestly, we're training people all over the world. So as long as you have access to the internet, you can take part in the program.
Okay. Next question would be cost. Is there a cost to participate in the event? Is travel included to the location? And then also I want to chime in on what's the follow-up after post-event? How is the continued follow-up happening in your program?
So with us, we are our normal program for the 3 times a week check-in with your coach, your nutrition, your meal plan, your workout program, access to the gyms if you're local, your body scans, your 4 weekly coaching calls. We charge regular people $300 for that a month. The veterans get it for half off, so at $150. The program averages 6 months. But we have people who know with us for years, literally 17 years. And then the follow-up is nonstop. Like we're working with you literally 2-3 times every week. And so that's how our program works.
Okay.
So for us, it's a completely free of cost program. So we cover every cost door to door. Travel is included in that. So it's completely free of cost to our veterans and supporters as well. Anybody attending our programs. Let's see. And then for our follow-up, so we commit to a 3-year follow-up for all of our individuals that come through our program. So that has sort of evolved over time, but it's a handful of check-ins that happen periodically throughout that 3 years. So there might be some email follow-up. We do some phone calls. There's just some different check-ins and touch points that we go through throughout those 3 years. But these community resiliency units has taken shape outside of or within that follow-up program as a way to sort of continue to reach our participants even after they come through our week-long event. So the idea is that they're getting involved back in their home communities, and that sort of acts as a follow-up so that they continue to get out and recreate and receive services and resources. So the idea is there that the crews keep growing so that every participant that comes to our program is able to join or create their own local unit that they can continue.
Okay. Yeah, and I see Steve, you asked post 9/11 or all campaigns welcome. I think for all these programs, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all veterans are available to attend. Obviously, there's going to be challenges with elderly in the woods, hiking up mountains and everything. But if they're capable and able, I think they would definitely qualify. Bryon, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to tack onto that is correct for our organization, and I saw heads nodding for everybody else. And then we after someone submits an application, we do a personal phone call with them, mainly a physical assessment over the phone to see if they feel they can make a hike or if we need to schedule them for a float trip, which just this year we had a double amputee with walking sticks out with us on the float trip. So we can any physical ability pretty much we can take on the float trip. So we'll just assign them to a trip accordingly to their physical ability. For cost right now, our phrase is you get to Montana, we'll take care of the rest. But we do have a scholarship program and a couple nonprofits that we partner with to try to cover cost of flight for anybody to get here. And so that's honestly our biggest hurdle we have right now is just covering flights. So for most people, we are able they will purchase the ticket, then we refund them once they apply for our scholarship. But then beyond that, all they have to bring is clothes and boots, and we cover everything else with packs and life jackets, food, everything else they need. The cost is free just getting to Montana. And then for our follow-up, we have just implemented a database to help us with this so that we make sure that at least quarterly, everyone's getting an email. That email has a button that says, hey, reach out to me. That's really simple. You just click it. It sends us an automation. And then after someone's been on a trip with us, they're assigned one of our team leaders. And those team leaders occasionally reach out. We send them notifications to say, hey, it's time to reach out again. And they'll shoot them a text or a phone call, just depending on the relationship they had built from the trip and post trip, how they've been communicating. They'll just continue that pattern, whether it's text or phone call or email. And we also have surveys that go out 3 months out and 6 months out, just to see how the tools that we've given them, how they may or may not still be implementing them. And that's our follow-up.
Okay. I want to chime in on, okay, one, how do we get veterans to go to your program and to sign up? And then two, how long in advance should they sign up before they get that phone call or before they go on their first trip? How long's the waiting period? Danny, let's start with you.
I'll try to get my link that you guys can send out. If nothing else, you guys can email me, Danny@SoldierFit.com, and I'll get you a consultation link. We'll jump on a personal call and figure out what your situation is. And then for us, if it's something that both parties feel like it's a good fit, like literally we start work right away. So the next step would be, I would get you assigned to a trainer. For all veterans, I do assign you to veteran trainers. And then from there, you have a separate consultation. You'll get some homework for us so that we're able to do your nutrition and meal plan for you. And then boom, it's off to the races. We're working on day one. Okay.
For us, currently, we don't have much of a wait. Just it's however long until the next trip. We're just about full for 2024, and so then the wait would be until our next trip in 2025. In order to come on a trip, it's very simple. You just go to Montana MT Vet Program .org and just enlist. That's what the button says, is enlist. And so you just fill out the form, and then we give you a phone call, and then again it's just physically, where is everybody able, and we assign them to a trip. And there's not much of a, I mean, aside from just we can only take trips at certain dates, and so it's just waiting for the date to arrive. Veterans should apply at least a month in advance, but the earlier the better to get assigned to a trip and get a spot. And then we also have veterans if they can only make on a float trip, we have a reserve list, because some people, you never know what's going to happen in life. And so 2 weeks before a trip, we'll have someone drop out because, a family member passed, or we had somebody that, had a court date, or, whatever. And so we do have an alternates list of people that are ready to go for those trips.
Okay.
For us, I threw our website in the chat as well. It's HigherGroundUSA.org. They can navigate over to the veterans and first responders programs, and there's just a link to apply to attend one of our week-long events. And that application process will get you into our system. We have one of our team members that'll then reach out to the veterans to go through sort of this assessment call, just to get a feel for what it is they're looking for, if they're a relationship, figure out what demographic of a program they're going to fit into, and what they're interested in, and try to match them up to the program that fits them best. As far as how long it takes to get on a program, we currently have a waiting list of around 1,000 folks waiting to get on a program. But that is not to say that you might not be on the next program that's lined up in our queue. It could be a matter of weeks and you're on a program. It's just a matter of your availability, what the veteran is able to get the time off work, if they're interested in the program. And like Bryon said, that we've kind of constantly, we have people that fall off last minute. And if you're available and ready to go, we can slide you right into that spot. So even though there is quite a hefty waiting list, we can get you on a program relatively quickly, as long as you've got some availability, time off work, and interested in attending that specific program.
Okay. Real quick, I want to open it up to, if anybody has any questions, please come off mute real quick. Let's ask whatever we can before we wrap this up. But I'm gonna let you three kind of think about this. The next question is going to be, let's summarize the entire experience with your camp. A couple words, what the veteran's going to get out of it. So veteran shows up to your program, kind of needing that reset button. What are they going to get out of it when they get out of your program? So real quick, does anybody have any questions, anything they want to hear about? Going once, twice. All right, guys. So last question before we end this. What is a veteran going to get out of your program? What are they going to go home with? How is it going to be life-changing? Justin, let's start with you.
So I think the way that I would respond to that is there's sort of the big three that we call it, that we focus on throughout the length of our program. And that's sort of addressing the obstacles that come along of leaving the military community or first responder community. And that is the sense of camaraderie, purpose, and identity. So those are the three things that we focus really heavily on in our discussion groups that happen in each evening. And the whole experience is tailored around addressing sort of those three things that are the most common struggles that our veterans go through after separating the service or going through traumatic experiences that might be associated with those professions.
Okay, Danny?
Come through us, we're going to teach you everything that you need to know about leveling up your life across the four major areas, which are your fitness, function, which is your purpose, career, your finances, and your family. And one of the benefits that comes from us, this isn't an influencer. We've literally gone from eating out of trash cans and being homeless to owning one of the fastest growing fitness companies in the U.S. And my goal and the Go team of the goal is to pass that knowledge on, especially to the war fighters that have made sacrifices for the country, and make sure that they can level up as well too.
Okay. Bryon?
Well, we had a question in chat about HBOT treatment. We're in Montana where there's I don't even know if there is any hyperbaric chamber treatments. And so I haven't had anyone talk about it personally. I'll let those guys answer once I'm done here. But yeah, nobody that I'm aware of on our trips. And so a veteran leaving, when you asked the question, I just thought of a veteran on one of our camp trips last year. We were on our last night, night 3, around the campfire in the back of the Bob Marshall Wilderness. We can hear elk bugling. The temperature's starting to drop. And he said, I've been doing veteran trips, therapy, counselor, medication for 10 years. And you guys have done more in 3 days than 10 years of all of that combined. And so that's what a veteran's going to get. They're going to have some tools that they'll be able to help regulate their mental state, whether it's breathing, meditation, yoga, physical activity. We've also had veterans that just a few months after a trip, they're 40 pounds lighter than they were before because they've been motivated to get off the couch. And so you're just going to find a new motivation, a new group of friends, and feel like you're part of a community again.
Awesome. Okay. Justin, real quick, hyperbaric chambers in your program?
Yeah, so we actually there's a local organization to where our organization is headquartered out in Sun Valley, Idaho, that was doing some HBOT treatments, and we partnered with them to add some supplemental programs with that treatment. But as far as I know, a lot of the treatments are intensive focused with HBOT. So usually they're going for like a month at a time where they're getting treatments regularly. So that doesn't really fit with our program model where we're taking folks away, outdoors and usually in pretty remote environments. So I would say typically, no, that's not something that we see, but that's not to say that this couldn't be an add-on to receiving that sort of treatment. So I would say if anybody's interested or, whatever it may be, we're happy to talk one-on-one with those individual cases and how we can best support sort of that totality of treatment that they might be going through.
Yeah. And Danny, HBOT treatments with your program?
No, nothing I know of around my area.
Okay. All right. Allison, I think that handles all the prepared questions. I'm going to open up the floor one more time. If anybody has anything, pop on now, and I'll hand it back over to you, Allison. And thanks for the team for jumping in and moderating this or being here with us. So.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Thank you, and thank you, Justin and Byron and Danny. Thank you for taking your time out of your day and being here today to talk more about your programs. I just wish we could have more programs like yours to help veterans around, and the more veterans could be talked into taking advantage of those programs that exist and the programs that are activity-based all across the country, that are outdoors, and also programs like Danny's that are more local that you can reach even virtually. So thank you for being here, and I thank you for all the information. I want to invite everybody here to the 11th annual symposium that's on August 8th. It's going to be in Washington, D.C. We're also going to have a virtual aspect. So if you're interested more of that, just go to the americanswarriorpartnership.org/symposium. And thank you all for coming today. Thank you for sharing and collaborating with us. At America's Warrior Partnership, we partner with communities to improve veteran quality of life and thereby reduce veteran death by suicide or self-harm. We believe that communities are the best place to improve the quality of life for veterans. Our goal at America's Warrior Partnership, and our goal today, is to provide community partners like yourselves with support, information, and best practices to deliver quality services to your veterans in your community. Our next battle rhythm will be on September 9th. It is on suicide prevention, lessons learned. I hope you can attend, and you guys have a great rest of your day.